Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Big Questions, Small Steps. My name is Amanda and I'm glad that you could join me today. So last video, we shared the very harsh, unfiltered reality of how it went when I told people about my decision to convert. It was tough in some regards, and it was unexpectedly easy in other regards. So I had a suggestion to make a video just giving you some tips if you happen to be in the same place where you need to make a change. Maybe you're going to change paths from where your family is to what you need to do, whether that's your religious beliefs, whether that's the way you practice your life, whatever. I'm going to share with you some tips or suggestions from my point of view. Again, it's just my point of view. You might have different ideas, and that's completely okay. Okay, so the first suggestion I would have is something I did not follow, but I think it would have helped a great deal if I would have. And my first suggestion is talk early and talk often. If you're having questions, if you're wondering, if something's not sitting right with you, just express it to people. They may echo your thoughts, they may disregard your thoughts. They are in charge of them, you are in charge of you. However, by simply expressing them, it makes other people aware that you're struggling with something. They may be able to help you. They may have answers for you that you're seeking, and that's great. But even if they don't, at least they're aware on some level that you're struggling with something. I think if I would have done that, it would have helped my family process it and feel less shocked by my sudden, in their view, change or that sudden decision. So that's my number one tip is talk early, talk often. Share your little things. When you start learning more and discovering which path you're supposed to be on, if you choose conversion, if you're choosing to move, whatever, make sure that you really think out that decision for yourself. Really weigh the pros and cons. Is this what you want? Is this what you need? Is this what's going to make you a better person? Is this something that you need at this moment? Only you can answer that question. You can certainly talk to people you love and share with them your struggles, but in the end, the decision is up to you. If you're married and you have kids, that decision is a decision you make together, but nobody can make that decision for you. You need to own your decision. When you come to the place where you own their decision, then it's time to start telling people of your decision. And again, you need to be strong enough in your decision to know that some people might disagree with your decision, and you've got to be okay with that. You do. It's not easy, and it may appear selfish or stubborn to other people, but you need to be able to own your decision, come what may. The people who love and care for you should be okay with your decision. It may not be easy for them, but it's your decision. And if they love and care for you, then they'll still love and care for you. And if they don't, that's quite telling of that relationship as well. And that's tough. That's tough. So make your decision. Stand by your decision. When you have that confidence, and it's not something that comes overnight, then my suggestion is to pick an easy person. Someone, and by easy I mean someone who you know is more likely to be supportive of you. Someone from your inner circle who you've told things to, who has always been a great support for you. Just start with one person and have a conversation with them. Don't call them up over the phone. My suggestion would be to do it in person. And my suggestion is also to do something while you're telling them. So whether that's having a dinner or a lunch, whether that's going for a walk, something mindless that doesn't need their attention. So for example, going for a walk at a park, okay, you're not on high alert there. You can have more attention on the conversation, but it's a little bit less scary from the person who is explaining and expressing their thoughts. Then, okay, can we just sit here and I want to tell you this. It's very easy to get to that point, but you want to have a soft way to start it. So if you start with a walk and then you bring up, this is what I'm struggling with. You know, I've been struggling for a while. I've really thought about it. These are the things that I'm thinking of. And I believe that this is the path I'm supposed to be on. I'm supposed to be on the path of conversion. I'm supposed to be moving to this state. I'm supposed to change to this job. That's a natural segue when you break that down to either slowing down your walk, finding somewhere to sit and talk, or having a pause in your meal to have that conversation. But it's something casual first, and then when you get to the heart of it, if needed, you can stop what you're doing to have that conversation. It's very natural to do that. And then it's a no pressure situation. So if you're having a walk and you're talking about it, they'll likely have questions. You'll have questions, you can talk about it, but it's not like I have to be done by the end of this game that we're playing or whatever. It just is, it's more natural, less pressure. You will be nervous, most likely, when you tell them because you're not sure how they're necessarily going to respond. You might be very excited for your choice and you hope they're going to be supportive, but it's not guaranteed that everyone's going to be supportive. And that is something you have to be okay with. So my suggestion, when you tell your first person, tell them one-on-one, tell them in person, and just go somewhere. Go out to dinner, go for a walk, share with them your struggles, share with them what you're hoping for, share with them all of your understandings. Help them understand where you're coming from. But whatever you're choosing to do, make sure that you have the time and the attention. So going for a walk, great choice. Going out to dinner, great choice. Don't pick the busiest restaurant or pick somewhere where there is a limit as to how long you can go and sit and eat or whatever. You don't want a time limit. You can certainly have, if it's uncomfortable, have like a backup plan of, oh, I'm going to tell them I have this next or I have this appointment later or whatever to give yourself an out. But that's where I would start. That first one is probably going to be your toughest conversation. And hopefully it goes well. Hopefully it does. Pick someone who is supportive of you. Now, after you tell that one person, you may think, okay, well, I don't really need to tell everybody else because it'll kind of filter out. Own your story. Own your story, own your decision. You want to write your story. You don't need everybody else telling their version of your story. You own it. So my wonderful boyfriend has this saying where there are many people in your life and they play different roles. But he refers to those main key holders as pillars in your life. So look for those pillars. Who are the people that you value, you trust, you rely on, and they rely on you? Most people, when pressed, don't have more than 5 people who are those close pillars. After you tell your one-on-one person, your most trusted person, your closest person, your most supportive person, you owe it to your pillars to tell them. And again, that should be one-on-one or two-on-one. When I told my parents, for example, of my conversion, I didn't tell each of them separately. I told them together. Sometimes it's just more natural to tell them in the pairs that they are. But your pillars all deserve to know. They need to hear and understand what your concerns are. What are you struggling with? What have you wrestled with thus far? What path or process has brought you to where you are today? Tell them your story, because they may or may not have heard your questions, concerns that you've spoken earlier. Tell them again. Tell them again. Be prepared for your pillars to be supportive and encouraging, but also be prepared for your pillars to kind of freeze and stonewall and get baffled, not understand. It hurts when your pillars do that, because those are people that are important to you. My suggestion, if that happens, which you're going to meet someone who that happens with, hear them out, hear their concerns and questions, and then depending on what their concerns and questions are, you can attempt to answer some of them in the moment. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of circling back with them, checking in again. How are you feeling? Do you have any more questions? This is what I'm doing next on my path. Keep them clued in. If they truly are pillars and truly are important to your life, they still care. They're just struggling with understanding your decision. So keep them clued in, continually check back with them, but they may take more time, and that's okay. They're human. In my experience, it tends to be, just my experience, the more traditional a person is, or the older a person is, sometimes they're a little more fixated on what has always been and resistant to change. That's life. I heard a great saying you can either be a change maker or you can wait for change to be thrust upon you. Change is going to happen regardless. It's how you want to embrace it. Do you want to be the one leading the way, making part of the changes? Or do you want to sit back and wait for whatever happens, somebody else to make the decision, and it be thrust on you? It's a tough decision to make, but let them own their struggles. You have to be true to you and your story. Now, the tough part to deal with, accept, and realize is that people who are your pillars may not support your decision. they might not. You can't control other people. It is really tough when people you thought were so very important and you were important to them. It's really tough when they just can't even accept or be happy for the fact that you are choosing a different path. You're not asking them to choose it, but if you're choosing a different path and they can't accept it and support your choices for happiness, that's tough. That's tough. Because then that pillar that was once so strong may start to fracture. And I hope that relationships aren't severed because of it. But if this is a decision that you truly believe in, you have confidence in, you know that this is what you're supposed to do, then sometimes you need to let that pillar go. And that's tough, especially if there's somebody very important to you. It's really tough, but you need to be prepared for that. It's a big one. Telling your pillars is extremely important. After you tell your pillars, you may be a little more leery or gun shy because you will likely face some kind of resistance or hesitation. So you might start feeling anxious about telling other people. Or you might not care what other people think and how they respond, depending on how your pillars responded. After I told my pillars, my main people, then the next step is you need to just tell the public in a very general way. Start claiming it more as your story. That's when I made my post on Facebook. And I just basically told everybody, hey, I've been struggling with this, and I am now on this path, and just wanted to let you know. You have to word it and kind of wordsmith it to make it sound like you. But basically, you're just giving a general statement. You're not asking for feedback. You're not asking for support. You're just throwing it out there. I do have to tell you, I was nervous when I made my Facebook post because I didn't know how people would respond. I didn't. Now, typically, in a public setting like that, people will respond positively more than they will negatively. If they have negative thoughts or ideas, they likely just won't post anything as far as a comment. They won't share it, they won't like it, they won't comment. They'll just think it in their head. But you're telling them in a basic way. You're sharing your story. The next step after that is having those one-on-one conversations with more extended people, whether that's your workplace coworkers, whether that's your extended family that you don't see as frequently, whether that's leaving what you had, whether it was your church or your congregation, whether it was a job that you're leaving, telling them, kind of giving them closure before you move into the next step. With my extended family, I happen to tell them through different cards and letters and face-to-face conversations. I even told many of them at our family reunion. We would just check in and say, oh, what have you been up to? And just, I would roll in that I've been doing A, B, C, D, E, and I'm still on my conversion process as well, and that's going this way, and it opens the door, but it also gives you another opportunity to put it out there and inform people that you're making a change. because some people embrace change and they get excited for you, and some people are very reluctant to change. You can't change other people. You have to own your decision and your choices, and you have to be okay with other people doing what they're going to do. Now, I hope and I pray that you have supportive people in your life and that people don't walk away or their pillars crumble because you make a choice. But know that at the same time, if that does happen, I believe there's a reason. And wherever one has fallen, someone else is meant to step into their place. Doesn't help the hurt, but it gives hope. Gives space for hope. It's not easy, but it's important. Having these conversations is important. But my number one advice when telling people of a change that you are choosing to make is talk to them early and talk to them often. Share with them. Everyone has struggles. Don't be afraid of yours. Don't be embarrassed of yours. By owning who you are, you're being authentic for those that truly matter. And don't we all deserve to be authentic with each other? I think so. So there you go. That's my advice. Perfectly imperfect, as my mom would say. Just my tips from my experience. I hope you find them helpful. Until next time, bye-bye. Take care.